The goal is that will help you to achieve Pathways Level 1 by the end of December. Before the end of the year, we want you to achieve Level 1. Not only that, hopefully the information you got tonight not only will help you achieve Level 1, that you can take it back to your club and help your other members, because you need 4 Level 1 completion to get that 1 DCP point. We'll get to it a little bit later. So this is District 50 Town North Division. Maggie Tyner is our Division Director, along with myself, Roger Fung. I have achieved my Strategic Relationship Level 5, and I've completed Presentation Mastery Level 5. In our district, we started Pathway in February. That means approximately less than 6 months, I've completed 2 paths. Not to brag, just to show you that it doesn't have to be mysterious. It doesn't have to be difficult. Make it simple. And today, my focus is really giving you some simple 3 to 4 steps, and that's it. All right? Why? Because I'm Mr. Know-It-All, right? No, I am not Mr. Know-It-All. How many of you use every function on your iPhone? Raise your hands if you use every single app. You don't. But you still use it. You can use your iPhone, you can use your smartphone to make phone calls, to text, to do what you need to do. And then whenever you needed some additional apps, then you go look it up. You go try it. Same thing with Basecamp and Pathway. I can sit here and give you 3 hours straight, and it still will not be able to cover everything that is in Pathway. But you don't need to know everything. You don't need to know how to change the tires in order for you to drive. You don't need to know all the apps to use your iPhone or your Android phone. So I'm going to give you the key issues so that you can progress and get through it. Once you get through Level 1, Level 2, 3, 4, and 5, easy. Then you can go to the second path, third path, so on and so forth. If you have questions, you can go ahead and type into the chat box. I'll look at those box questions later on. So the agenda, why are we here? Traditional manuals versus pathways. 3, the assessment. 4, Level 1 walkthrough. 5, Q&A. Why are we here? First, the dessert. I always give you the dessert first before the main course. You saw the advertised bonus, the 1 pathway project that can advance your career and fireproof your job. Most webinar will give you this bonus, tell you about this bonus, and then drag you until the last hour to give it to you. No, I do things flip upside down. I'll give it to you right off the bat. So hold on just 1 sec. I am going to unshare real quick, and I will upload right now a file onto don't tell me my computer just froze. All right, hold on. My computer wants to freeze real quick. All right, for those of you who have your chat box, you can go to your chat box, click on that document. That document is your dessert for tonight. I'm going to give you the dessert first, and that is what I have advertised as the 1 project that you could use to advance your career and fireproof your job. And you will see something like this. I'm not going to go through it because you can quickly read it. And what that is, the second thing is the extra dessert. There's an unadvertised bonus for Town North members. I'll get to it. Number 3, the main course is how to get to Level 1 by December 31st. And of course, our next day. What do you want to do next time? Best kept secret. In Level 4, there's an elective project called Write a Compelling Blog. Go through the document I wrote down. You'll see the benefits of why you want to do that. But here's a secret ingredient. Book review. When I talk to folks about, hey, writing a blog, every time they say, well, what do I write about? I don't know anything. I'm not an expert. Whatever you do in your business, maybe you are an accountant, maybe you are an engineer, maybe you are a salesperson, whatever level, whatever department you're in, you can go to Amazon and find a book that your industry is focused on. Some expert in your industry. You read the book, you write review of the book. You're not saying to the world that you are the expert. What you're saying to the world, there are experts out there. What I've done is I read what the expert says. I'm going to give you comments. And now what can I do with this? This is a perfect way which you can continually add and build that blog. And just imagine, if you ever get to the point where your company slows down, they have to think about layoffs, you along with 3, 4, 5 colleagues all have done equal amount of work, all have accomplished about the same thing. What would your boss do? A smart superior would keep you because you have demonstrated nobody asked you to do this, but you wrote a blog. You are keeping up with your industry, what's going on in there. Now, if he or she is not smart enough to keep you, guess what? When you go out there and you're applying for a new job, instead of simply just a resume, now you can point people to everybody else has a resume, but I have a resume plus a blog to show your initiative. I'm not going through everything. You've got the download. Go and download it. If at the end of the webinar today, if there's more time, we can come back and talk about this. So you've got your dessert for the night first. Download in the chat box. Number 2, extra desserts, unannounced bonus. This is specifically for District 50 Town North members. If you finish level 1 and get it all recorded by December 31st, your name will be entered into a drawing and we will have some unannounced gift for you. I won't tell you what it is now, but it's coming and they are going to be good because we're going to develop a monthly webinar, continue to train not just in Pathway, but in everything that we do in Toastmasters that can help you get more out of your Toastmasters progress. The main course is traditional versus Pathway. This is how we are used to it. We read our manual, we craft our speech, we come to a club and speak. That's what we used to do. Now in Pathway, this is what we do. We read, but instead of a manual, we read what we call Basecamp online. We craft a speech. We come to a club and we speak. But here is one big difference. We have to close the loop and assess ourselves. That's really the big difference. In the past, we read, we craft, we speak. In the new Pathway system, we read it, we craft the speech, we give the speech, and we assess ourselves. The idea is that when you begin a project, you want to assess yourself, get an idea of how good you think you are in that topic. You go ahead and read the document, the content, you give the speech, you got evaluated, now you come back and you reevaluate yourself and say, hey, compare and contrast, have I made some improvement or do I need to work more? That's really the big difference in terms of the steps between the traditional model and the Pathway model. That's it. There's nothing else new. Now, there's a lot of details I can go into, but don't let those details distract you and confuse you. You still read it, craft your speech, give your speech, and you assess yourself. Getting your DTM, traditional versus Pathway. In a traditional way, you complete your CC manual, you become a competent communicator. There are 10 speeches there. Next, you do I'm only focusing on the speech portion right now, not the leadership side, just the speech portion. You do 2 more advanced manual, a total of 10 speeches, you get your advanced communicator bronze. Do the same thing, 2 more manual plus 2 presentation, you get to your ACS. Then 10 more speeches in 2 manual, 1 more presentation, and you get to your AC goal. So from a speech standpoint, there are 43 speeches in the traditional model. Again, I'm not touching the leadership portion. That aside, I'm simply comparing the speech portion. What does that mean in Pathway? First, you start your first path. Level 1, level 2. Level 1, there are 3 projects but 4 speeches. Level 2, 3 speeches. Then you got level 3 and 4. Level 3 has 3 speeches. Level 4 has 2 speeches. Level 5, 3 speeches. So when you finish one path, it's approximately 15 speeches. The reason why I put a plus in there is that some of those projects may require 2 or 3 speeches. For example, some of you may recall in the HPL project, you have to give a speech first to describe what you're going to do. You do your project, and you come back and give a second speech about what have you done. Very similarly, in Pathway, there are a number of projects that requires multiple speeches, but at least right now it's a minimum of 15 plus. So if you finish one path, you have to do the same thing again. You have to finish 2 paths in a new pathway system to get to your DTM. That means that a grand total of 30 plus projects. If you compare and contrast the two, approximately when you finish level 1, level 2 twice, that's approximately 10 to 12 plus projects. Compared similar to the CC in a sense, this is your base, this is your foundational pieces. When you get to the second level in ACB, it's almost exactly the same up to level 3 and 4, about 10 speeches. When you get to ACS, going from 10 to about 6. So technically, on paper, Pathway is a little bit quicker to get to DTM. But here's the thing. Some of the level 3, 4, and 5 projects may take 6 months to do, just one project. So it all depends on which project you pick. And some projects are faster, some project is shorter. I mean, it's longer. Therefore, on paper, that's what it looks like. But in detail, it all depends exactly which path and which project you have picked. Now, for those of you who are not trying to get to your DTM the quickest possible, just to let you know, those numbers in level 3, 4, and 5 are minimum requirements. There are electives that you can potentially do 37 projects in one path. That means if you do 2 paths and you do every project, you're looking at 60, 74 projects. So there are plenty of projects for you to work on if you choose to go that way. That's why it's sometimes a little bit difficult to compare and contrast the traditional versus the pathway because of the electives in there. So that's the idea. I have not touched on the leadership portion of it. If you need more of that detail, you can certainly search Toastmasters.org. It will give you the leadership portion. I just want to compare and contrast the speech portion of the traditional path, the traditional program, and the pathway program. How do you pick a path? Really, there's really 2 ways. One is Basecamp assessment. Second, self-assessments. In Basecamp assessment, you take an online assessment on Basecamp. And if you don't know how to do that, when you register for this webinar, I put a small video in there. Go ahead and watch that video. It's like 3 minutes long. And it will just walk you through how you take the assessment. The idea is you log in, you answer a certain number of questions, about 10, 15 questions, and the computer, based on your answers, give you a suggested way of these are the 3 or 4 paths that you want to pick. If you don't like any of the ones that the computer tells you, you can click on additional, and all the other paths will appear. The second way is the self-assessment. Well, how do you do self-assessment? 2 documents. That's very key. Is a Pathways Path and Project Catalog and the Path and Project Matrix. I'll show you where to get to those 2 documents, but you would do a self-evaluation by reading through those details, and you decide which path to go. Or you can combine the 2. Of course, you can use both the Basecamp assessment and your self-assessment, bounce things back and forth, and decide. So the document that I labeled number 12 will give you this. It will give you a 1-page summary of all 10 paths. For those of you who would like to have one quick look, page 1 of that document give you the description of all 10 paths. If you look deeper into the document, each of the 10 paths will have a 1-page summary. In this case, dynamic leadership. It will tell you there's 3 projects in level 1, 3 projects in level 2. In level 3, you have 1 required project and then 2 elective among the list in the red or burgundy. In level 4, you got 1 required project and pick 1 more from the elective. In level 5, 2 required projects, and 1 more in the electives. So you can look at it. If you look through and say, I may be interested in the effective coaching, take a look and see if those projects would interest you. If you say, hey, there's a required project in this particular path that I really hate, I don't like the idea, don't pick that path. You read deeper into this document, and it will have a project description of every project. In this case, it's called Leading in Your Volunteer Organization. If I back up, you could see that under level 5 in the elective, bottom, the 3rd project from the bottom is that Leading in Your Volunteer Organization. So if you click on that link, it will jump to that page. It will give you the description. This one-page description is exactly what you'll find when you do pick this path and go into Basecamp when you eventually get to level 5. So this document 12 will give you a lot of detail. You don't have to read everything. Read only what you need using process of elimination, eliminating certain projects or certain path that you're not interested in. You most likely will come down to 1 or 2. Then take the assessment in Basecamp, confirm it, and you can decide that way. The second document I mentioned is number 6. It's a matrix. It's an Excel sheet. All it does do is to say, these are the available projects on the side. And then on the top, these are the 10 paths that's available. When you look through the matrix, R stands for required project. E stands for elective. X means it's already required some other time. So for example, if you look down to the second path, motivational strategy, and you look down in level 3, active listening, there's an X. Why? Because if you look back up in level 2, it's already required in level 2. But everybody else in the other path, they can go ahead and work on that in level 3. So this is a matrix. So you can see, oh, this is, what I like to use connect with storytelling. And you look through in level 3 and realize, oh, it's an elective in every path. So no matter which path I pick, I'll still have the ability to choose that. So this document can help you see that maybe there's 1 or 2 projects that you really, really want to do. This is the place where you can look at it. Now, some people will say, well, I want to see all the manuals before I decide. More information does not necessarily mean more effective. This is the old way. When you finish your CC and the system says you can pick 2 advanced manual, what did you do? You don't have the manual. If you go to Toastmasters.org and you say, hey, maybe I'm interested in the entertaining speaker, and you click on it, how much description does it have? Right there, 1 paragraph. So if you click on all 10, 15, 20 advanced manual in the past, you don't get to see exactly what project and what you need to do for how long. You only get that 1 paragraph to describe the whole manual. So put it in perspective. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't read things. What I am suggesting is don't let more detail distract you. Read enough of the detail so that you can make a decision. And if you don't think you have enough, talk to some of your other members who might have already gone on to level 2, level 3, and level 4. They may be able to share some of their documents with you. That's another way to go. So how do you get there? On my website, tipathways.com, there is a link for resources. Click into it, and there is tons. That's why I have a number 6, number 12. There are a whole lot more than 12 documents that you can get to. I've also included every evaluation form in every project in that download. Some of you have already asked me prior, how do I get to that download? You can get to it in Basecamp, but you can also get to it from my website. I've downloaded everything in there. Just click on the link when you see resources. Note, even if you have already decided which path to take by using those catalog, the number 6 and number 12, you still need to go into Basecamp and go through the assessment at least once, because the system will remember that you've gone through the assessment. You don't have to listen to the assessment. You don't have to pick what they suggest. The next time you go through, there is going to be a new link on the bottom that says skip assessment. You can skip it the second time. But the system will record not your result, but will record whether you have completed the assessment at least once. So even though if you have already decided, I'm going to do a presentation mastery, even before going to Basecamp, go in Basecamp, click into assessment, just answer the question willy-nilly, doesn't matter now because you already decided. Click on others, pick presentation mastery. The next time, you don't have to go through the assessment again. 4, level 1 projects. There are 3 projects: icebreaker, evaluation and feedback, and research and presenting. Icebreaker is no different than the past, 4 to 6 minutes. Research and presenting, think CC project number 7. Research, 5 to 7 minutes. Very simple. The one part that trips up people is the project number 2, evaluation and feedback. That project consists of 3 parts. Number 1, give a speech and get evaluated. No problem, right? Number 2, take the feedback, incorporate it into your speech. Now give it the second time. Give that same speech a second time, but incorporate the evaluation. For example, if the evaluator says, Roger, you have a lot of hand gestures, but it's all here. You need to use your stage. You need to use your space. You've got smile, but you're always looking at the left side, but not the right side. Okay, so those are a couple of things I want to be mindful of. I come back and do that speech the second time, incorporating the feedback. Third part, become an evaluator to someone else. Now, in the Toastmasters system, that's considered a speech too. Even though it's only 2 to 3 minutes, you are giving not only a written evaluation, but a verbal evaluation. So project number 2, evaluation and feedback, requires that you do 3 parts. When you log into Basecamp and you see a button that says launch or activate in Icebreaker, and you don't see the buttons for evaluation and feedback and research and presenting, that means the system requires that you finish project 1 first before the other appears. But after you finish Icebreaker, 2 buttons will appear, both the evaluation and feedback and research and presenting. That means that you can work on either order. So for example, I finished Icebreaker this week, and then my system says evaluation feedback is open, research and presenting is open. Guess what? Let's suppose that next week I'm also scheduled to speak. I can jump over and speak and use research and presenting first. I can do that because both buttons appear. Or I start working on evaluation and feedback. I gave my speech number 1, but then next week I'm scheduled to be an evaluator. So I'm actually jumping down to 2C. And then later on, maybe next month, I'll come back and do 2B. No problem. As long as the button is open, you can do any order within there. That means that you will need 5 meetings to complete level 1. Because you shouldn't really be giving a speech and then be an evaluator and then give a second speech second time all in 1 meeting, right? The idea is if you belong to 5 clubs, you can get it all done in 1 week. Or if your club is not, there's not a lot of people and you lined up and you can speak, evaluate, speak, evaluate, 5 weeks, you can get it all done. So between now and December 31st, completely doable. For those of you who says, oh, I have a huge club, I have to fight to get speaking engagement. For those of you who are in D50, District 50, we have a new function, a new staff called the Speech Ops. Kevin works with clubs that says, hey, we have spots that we can invite others to come and speak. If you don't get enough spots in your own club, contact Kevin. You don't have to join in these clubs. These clubs are opening up their doors so that you can go in and speak in their club meeting. Work it out with their, if you can't get in contact with Kevin, contact me. I can recommend some clubs that you can go and give some speeches in. Now, that's it. That's all you really need to know to get to level 1. We will go into a Q&A, but let me first show you a few things, questions that has posed to me prior to this meeting, and then I'll open up to everybody. First, when you finish a project, you notice that there's a check mark next to icebreaker. And then this person has finished all three: level, evaluation and feedback, and research and presenting. Just because you have finished all three projects inside of Basecamp, you're not done yet. You have to hit that mark complete. You got to open up that last line, click on mark complete, and then an email is going to send to your club officers. And the email it sends to is this one in Club Central. So I encourage all of you to have your officers go into Club Central, double check that email address and make sure that somebody is receiving that email. Now, you don't need to receive the email. The email still notified you. There's no requirement. But if you don't have, if nobody's receiving an email, you don't know that there is somebody waiting to be evaluated. Back it up. If I don't click on mark complete, I'll be stuck in level 1 forever. If I hit mark complete, a message is sent to my Basecamp manager in my club, and none of the manager reads the email, and none of the manager goes in and approve me, again, I'm stuck in level 1. Level completion must be completed by Basecamp managers for the benefit of the members. DCP points are for the benefit mainly for the club. Basecamp level, mainly benefit for the member. DCP point, mainly benefit for the club. Level completions and DCP points are managed in 2 different locations. They are not linked together. You have to separate, they are separate. You have to do a 2-part. Number 1, level approval is in Basecamp, and any one of the Basecamp managers can do it. DCP point is in Club Central, and any officers can do it. So a person must receive the level approval first, and then you can go to Club Central and award that point to your club. But for those of you who handles DCP management in your club, don't get trigger happy. You want clear communications from your member, because your member might give that points to another club. Your member may decide to hold on to those points and give it to another time. For example, if I completed 2 level 1 from 2 different paths, if I give both of them in same club, I just wasted 1 point, because I can only give 1 point to 1 club per 1 year. So if I completed 2, it would be better off for me to either split those 2 points to 2 clubs, or if I only belong to 1 club, hold on to 1 point and give it the next year. Or if I don't care, fine, I'll just give it all once. All I'm saying is, I'm not suggesting you do one way or the other. I'm suggesting that make sure you have a clear communication with your member before you award DCP point, because what you don't want to do is to be locked up in a phone call with Toastmasters International and wait for the next person to help you get through that. All right? What else would you like to learn?